may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Choda Soge Chonam Na Chanchu Bhado Dane Gyasuchi Age Jinso Kebe Sonam Ki Dola Penjir Sangye Rubaresho Sangye Choda Soge Chonam Chanchu Bhado Dane Gyasuchi Age Jinso Kebe Sonam Ki Dola Penjir Sangye Rubaresho Sangye Chodam Soge Chonam Chancho Bardo Dane Gyapso Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Dola Penjire Sangye Rubaresho Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramana Yeswaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramana Yeswaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramana Yeswaha. Okay, the first session what we're discussing is how the emotional states of the tension and the light feeling around the arise on the basis of your perception of the object. Okay, so when we say the Buddha indicated that all these problems, unpleasant feelings, all these problems, they are rooted to the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance. Ignorance means cognitively distorting the reality. Cognitively distorting the reality. This is ignorance. And when we solidify objects, let's say the dream, we solidify the dream. Dream goes as so real, solidify that, objectify that. Then what is happening is that actually from the object there's nothing there as it goes. Your mind solidifies that, and that is felt within you. You feel the congestion inside. You solidify the object, and the subject, the congestion happens within us. That is the tension, that is the stress. And as we desolidify, or when the objectification dissolves, then the mind feels release. For example, say when you have a tension, that okay, something bad might happen to me, and then you meet somebody and a person tells you, no worry, it will not happen, guaranteed, because of this. When you're convinced that this is not going to happen, then your mind feels lightness, because what you earlier solidified as something objective real, so that's being deconstructed, or you feel that it's not true. Then the repercussion or the consequences what you felt inside, you feel the release of that. So in other words, what happens is that the mind, as the mind gets congested, then you feel the congestion. You feel the stress and tension there. And so how do you release that? We can release that in two ways. One is by cognitively rectifying your perception. And then number two is by expanding your love and affection. These are the two things. One is cognitively rectifying the misperception. Number one. And then number two is expanding your circle of love and affection. Cognitively rectifying the misperception and expanding your circle of affection, love and affection. So these two will dissolve this solidification, dissolve the tension within you. Okay, now when we say the dissolve the solidification, when we dissolve the objectification, there are many ways of doing it. And this morning what we discussed about the five levels of emptiness. These are the 5 ways of dissolidifying the object. 5 ways. 5 ways of dissolidifying the object. The first one is you dissolidify that like 10%. And then the next one is like another like 20%, another 20%. And finally 100% dissolidification. And what we are learning here, and particularly in the context of what we learned about dependent origin. Whosoever sees dependent origination will see the Dharma, and whosoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha. So here, the dependent origination, we learned that it is in the context. Dependent origination taught here is primarily in the context of the first level of dependent origination. Of the 3 levels, the first one, that is the dependent origination of the results depends on the causes, or the causal dependent origination. Okay, then the next one is that the universe is operating on the basis of the causal dependent origination. Universe is operating on the basis of the causal dependent origination. Failing to see this, you have a cognitive error in perceiving the world. So with this, you will end up with some problems. This is one. Another one is the same viewing things. So while things are okay. Let's do like this. We view the world's universe is operating with the cause effect on the basis of the cause effect relationship. And this is the debate between Albert Einstein and the Niels Bohr. Debate between Albert Einstein and the quantum physicists like Niels Bohr. That debate was whether or not the law of cause and effect is applicable. So the Albert Einstein is very strict with the cause-effect relationship. He says that cause-effect relationship is what operates the universe. So quantum physicists would say that no, there's randomness also. Randomness means that cause and effect is not necessary. There's randomness also there. So the principle of randomness, uncertainty principle, all these came into being on that basis. So, but what we see is that, and this is quite a big debate. So we can say that when the Buddha taught, form is empty. In Heart Sutra, form is empty, emptiness is form. Form is empty. When the Buddha taught form is empty, form, it is operating on the macro level. So how the universe is operating is on a macro level. That is the form. And if you look at the same object, what is operating on the macro level, the cause and effect, if you look at it very closely on the macro level, then you will see the emptiness. Form is empty. Macro level is a form, cause effect operation, dependent origination. The macro level It is emptiness. Then the next, emptiness is form. What is seen from the macro level as the emptiness, the same object is, on the macro level, is the form, the cause and effect operation, dependent origins operating in the air. Okay, this is how the world is operating. In other words, in the conventional sense, the world is operating on the basis of cause and effect relationship. So we are operating on this. So even somebody who realizes emptiness, who does not realize emptiness, everyone is operating on that level, cause and effect relationship. Now, failing to see this cause and effect relationship, then we end up into problems. We engage in the destructive karmas, negative karmas. And then on the other hand, failing to see the reality, one where we talk about the two levels of ignorance. You remember that? You remember? We talk about two levels of ignorance. Ignorance pertaining to the cause and effect relationship, and ignorance pertaining to the ultimate reality. We talk about two levels of ignorance and two levels of dependent origination. Right? Okay, so when we are unaware, when we are entangled with the ignorance pertaining to law of cause and effect, then we tend to engage in the negative karmas. Because we don't believe in the cause and effect relationship. Okay, we can do anything negative, expecting that good things will happen out of that. So negative karmas will be accumulated. Whereas the ignorance pertaining to the ultimate reality, we are trapped in samsara. Ignorance pertaining to the ultimate reality, we are trapped in samsara. Meaning that, okay, when you look at me, how do you see me? Object real, or like a movie projected by your mind? As object real, that is ignorance. That ignorance is one that the moment you project, your mind projects objects. Then you are unaware that you projected. Then because of which you see the object as objectively real. And then the object tends to affect you. And then you react. So that reaction is the intention. Intention to react. That's the karma. Intention to react physically, verbally, mentally. These are the karmas. Okay, so the projection. Projection, your mind projects, and you are unaware that you are projecting it, and you see things as objectively real. So this, I am sharing with you as though like it is happening in sequence. In actuality, this is all simultaneous. The moment you project it, you see it as objectively real. The moment you project it, you are already trapped in samsara. This is samsara. Okay, who was to remind me of what exactly is samsara? Okay, Ravi. So this is the second day or third day? Well, it's amazing. Second day we have come up with what exactly is samsara. The moment our mind projects things, the moment our mind projects things, there is samsara. There is samsara. So you already sucked up in a dream. You already sucked up in a dream. Dream of your own projection. There is samsara. So then, within that, then we flow. Within that, there is time, space, everything is projected. So within this, then we operate. That is samsara. Okay. What question would you have? Yes, Jack?
There was a discussion question.
Yes.
That came up that we didn't get clarification on. That might be a good one to ask you now.
Yes. Aban?
I really don't want to interrupt your mission. You carry on. I'll ask you.
Well, none of us have the answer.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just ask the question, and if it's relevant, I will do it right away. If not, we'll keep it later.
I was asking that first of all, I know about objects not being objectively real. Okay, I know that objects are dependently originated. That's one. But then you're saying that everything exists on my perception, my projection. So then here's an object which is not objectively real, but it's there. And here's the other story, that it's my perception.
Yes.
So when I go away and I'm not perceiving it, then the object should disappear.
Yes.
But it doesn't, because you're looking at it.
Okay. Do you all follow the question?
Yes, we've been talking about it for a long time.
You all?
Yes.
Wonderful. Amazing. Then I'm going to ask this question to you.
During the last...
Very good question. So therefore, we need to study the 5 levels of emptiness. You getting it? Saying the subjectivity, saying that everything is the projection of mind. Okay, the first thing, the safest thing to say is that everything is related to a mind. The first thing, the safest thing to say. When you say everything is related to a mind, then in what way related? There are 5 ways of relation. 5 ways how things are related to a mind. And particularly, number 2, 3, 4, 5. They remain 5. They remain 5. They are very closely to understanding how things relate to our mind. How related? In other words, things are subjective. This is a safe word. In what way subjective? Then number 2 of the 5. Number 2, 3, 4, 5. They become particularly relevant. More precisely, number 3 and number 5. More precise, number 3 and number 5. Subjectively, in other words, the 4 Buddhist schools. Don't worry. The 4 Buddhist schools, what are they? Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, Chittamantra, Madhyamika. Fine. Okay, Sanjay, you have this 5. Right? Okay, the Acharya, you must teach, what the 4 schools are. Right? Essentially, you have to note them down. And later on, the 5 are the Smita. You know what these are? What the 4 schools are? Don't worry. You know. So, okay. The point is that let's say Chittamantra. I will share with you the Chittamantra version and the Madhyamika version of the subjectivity. While we talk about the subjectivity, so this is something, there's no choice for me to speak other than to speak directly on emptiness. Otherwise, this is not a wise way. Because yesterday we were doing from 1 to 3, the what? 1 to 3, 8, 9, 10. What is this? Right? Okay. So what is the 1 to 3, 8, 9, 10? And then 10, 11, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 12. Right? So what is this? So there's no choice because we are doing this text. Whereas if we have like 10 days, then we can go gradually. You'll know 1, 2, 3. It's easy. Okay, there's no choice. So now, let's say the subjectivity. In other words, everything is coming from our mind. This is technically known as everything is subjective. Now, when we speak about subjectivity, everything is my subjective. Yes. Then look at this flower. When I leave, then it should go with me, right? But other people, they can't see this. They can't see this. You getting it? Okay. Let's say, imagine, I'll give you one example. Okay, tell me, what's the color of this tube light? What's the color of this tube light? White. Let's say that we all suffering from jointitis, severe jointitis. Right? Then I ask you, what's the color of this tube light? You will say? Yellow. Now, okay, you are saying this yellow today, and tomorrow your jaundice is removed. Right? Then you look at it, it's white. It's because of the jaundice that we saw yellow yesterday. Okay, now I'm asking you the next day when your jaundice is over. I ask you, yesterday you saw the white tube light? No, yellow tube light? What's your answer?
Yes.
Yes. That yellow tube light was purely your mental projection? Abamji?
The color was a mental projection.
Their color.
But the tube
Yellow.
the
Yellow tube light.
Tube light is not
No,
projection.
my question is yellow tube light. Yellow tube light, it exists or not? It exists or not?
I accept that. I accept
Listen. First listen. Yellow color of the tube light, which you saw yesterday, was a purely mental projection.
Yes, that was dependent.
Very good. Okay, when you leave, the yellow will disappear.
Yeah.
Others should not be seeing yellow.
Unless they have jaundice too.
That's true. It has to be simply because that this is purely your mental projection, yellow color.
Yes.
It's pure mental projection. When you leave this hall, yellow color should disappear. No. It disappears with respect to you. But others also suffer from the jaundice. They also have the same illness. So they continue to see this yellow. Oh, never mind, let a bunch of leaves, still, yellow is left there. You'll say this, hey, we continue to see this yellow. You getting it? Likewise, we see as objectively real. And then it's purely your projection. When you leave, still the flower is left because people are there who are suffering from the same jaundice of self-grasping ignorance. Right? Huh? When everybody goes away, still you're thinking about, oh, the flower there. When you leave this house, when you go to the Mumbai city, still you say, oh, we are talking about the flower in that hall. Again, you're projecting it. Again, the self-grasping ignorance is operating in there.
No, then I'm imagining it.
No, it's not imagining. Say, for example, no. Imagination and recollection is different. You can imagine. You're getting it? Say, you can recollect, that is recollecting reality.
Yes.
Not the imagination, you can imagine something which is not existent. You're getting it? So therefore, the thing is that when the moment you recollect something, again projection happens. Projection happens. So therefore, with respect to this projection, we say that the flower is still there in the house. Right? Okay, this is where we have to study the emptiness very systematically. Right? Very systematically. And what happens is that dismantling, dissolidification happens gradually. And if I'm to give a shape to this, first I have to warm this up, make it hot, and then give a shape gradually. If I give a shape, twist it fast, it will break. Likewise, emptiness is advised to be taught in a very systematic, gradual process, not like certain what we are doing today. Right? Okay. Who chose the topic? Seedling Sutra. Me.
I think Geshe Lharampa.
Okay, then I'm responsible before nihilism. Right? Okay. Anyway, this is a good discussion. Good discussion. So this discussion must take place. Yet, the suggestion that I give you is that make a commitment to your mind that this amazing concept, I must study it more systematically. You're getting it? Nowadays, there are so many options. You want expensive options, cheap options, good options, bad options, all options are there nowadays, even to study. Even to study emptiness, there are so many options in the air, right? Okay, there are very expensive options are also there, cheap options also there, and then good options are there, not so good options are there. There are so many options, mostly online options are there. Okay, so the point is that we have to study emptiness gradually. Finally, our problem is a chronic problem, seeing things objectively real. And our mind will not agree with what we are studying easily. So our mind we should give time to our mind to dissolidify things gradually. So what we are studying here, this is a beautiful way of dissolidifying things in a gradual way. Okay, so we continue reading this. We are on page 64. Page 64. the last paragraph. How does one see dependent arising? On this point, the Bhagavan said, one who sees dependent arising is constant. Dependent arising as constant. Dependent arising constant meaning that the constant here, some translations has it like permanent. Dependent arising as permanent. Meaning that something which existed at all times. Something which existed at all times. Dependent origination is what has been operating since the beginning of the universe till the end. Yes?
That means unchanging, right?
Very good. Okay, thank you, Shweta. The permanent has two connotations. One, which has been constant, which has been lasting forever, and the other one is unchanging. Unchanging. In the study of logic, the permanent has a connotation of, should be understood as unchanging. Unchanging. Whereas here, this permanent has a connotation of which lasts forever. This is how the whole universe is operating, on the basis of dependent origination. Number one, constant, without life force. Okay, and the life force, the word of life force here is the, say, before the Buddha before the advent of Buddha Shakyamuni, the belief system was that. Belief system was in line with our thinking. Our thinking is that this we have this body and mind, and this mind we brought from where? This mind we brought from past life, right? Previous life. Okay, from the past life, and this past life has its own imprints. Our mind is so rich with experience. Not necessarily good experience, bad experiences also, many bad experiences. And then we say that a child is born, oh, child's mind is so pure. It's not so pure. Alright? It's not so pure. Of course, much purer than the elders, but generally they are not so pure. It's just like 1.5 years old, 2 years old, you will see the self-centeredness so strong in them. So strong. On rare occasions, we can see some child so compassionate, just age 2, willing to share, willing to give. Otherwise, generally, no. The moment you give a toy, then you say, give it to your daughter, or to your brother or sister, they will not give. Right? Self-centeredness is so strong, brought from the past life. So the point is that before the Buddha Shakyamuni, the belief system was very much in line with our thinking, our ordinary thinking. Our ordinary thinking is that there's a self, which is so solidified, so objectified, because we are so addicted to self-grasping ignorance from past life. So this we brought from our past life. We believe this self to be objectively real. So now this, according to this, then the systems are developed. Various systems are developed, philosophical systems are developed, take for granted that this self exists objectively and solid. Which says, life without life force meaning that, okay, it would be, the translation would be, without life force, fine, you can give an option, not identified, not to be identified with the life force. Not to identified with the life force. Not to be identified with the life force. Meaning that this such as life force, meaning life force to be understood as synonymous with the self. Life force to be understood as synonymous with the self. In other words, life force, self means same. For the time being, just write it as same, life force. This is a very technical philosophical understanding. What do you understand by life force? Right? These are the analysis, inquiry done by the philosophers like 1,000 years ago. Then they can understand that life force is the self. Then next question, what self? What self? What self? Objectified self. This is the next one. Objectified self. So the Buddha is saying that such an objectified self is not there. So without life force meaning that not to be identified as an objectively existent life force. Okay. Dependent origination is devoid of objectified existent life force, objectified existent self, number one. Number two, number one is without life force, number two is devoid of life force. So therefore translation. The first one would be instead of without life force, not to be identified with the life force. Meaning that it's not the life force, it's not the objectified self. It's not the objectified self. Number one. Number two is devoid of life force, meaning that, okay, say there's something related. Life force meaning the objectified self, and then dependent origination, although it's not the life force, but it's related to that. That is devoid of life force. Number two, devoid of life force. Okay. So this is all explaining what dependent origination is. So dependent origination means no objectified existence. Objectified existence and independent existence mean the same. Objectified existence and independent existence mean, okay, it would be good for us to learn all the synonyms. Objectified existence meaning objective existence, and then independent existence, true existence, inherent existence, intrinsic existence. Okay, somebody has to keep noting them down, otherwise I may forget. What is number one? Objectified existence, independent existence, true existence, inherent existence, intrinsic existence, absolute existence, ultimate existence. Then? Okay, autonomous existence, very good. Autonomous existence, or autonomous or independent is much more the same. It's a matter of the language, the translation. Autonomous existence. Okay, then existence with self characteristics. Existence with self characteristics. These are all synonymous. Keep this in mind. These are all synonymous.
Existence from the own side.
Existence from its own side, yes. Existence from its own side. Okay, these are all synonymous. With this, what we have now, the Buddha is explaining what do you understand by dependent origination. Dependent origination is something which has been operating across the board of the reality, meaning that everywhere dependent origination is operating, which is constant. Without life force, dependent origination means dependent. It cannot be independent objective self. Without life force, meaning it cannot be identified as the objective self, as the independent self, number one. Devoid of life force, meaning that this dependent origination is not, it should be understood not as a, say, entity related to the objective self. Life force here referring to the objective self. Dependent origination is not to be understood as an entity related to the objective self. It is devoid of such objective self, meaning not related to the objective self. Okay, true. True meaning that dependent origination. Okay, so here, when I speak about dependent origination, we should understand it in two ways. One, let me say that this flower is mine. When I say that this flower is mine, do you agree with me? That although explicitly I say that this is mine, implicitly I am saying that this is not yours. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? When I say this is mine, If it's in the middle, and get pick it up, I say this is mine. Explicitly I said it's mine, but implicitly I'm saying that it's not yours. Sanjay, do you agree with me? Good. So there's explicit meaning and implicit meaning. Likewise, dependent origination. When we speak about dependent origination, explicitly what I said is that there's dependent origination. Implicitly what I'm saying is is empty of independent existence. If something is dependent, then it should not be independent. Should not be independent. Empty of independence means the same. You getting it? Okay. So empty of independent is known as emptiness. So dependent origination, on one side we see dependent origination, other side is emptiness of independent existence. Now to understand this well, emptiness, dependent origination, these two mean the same. And dependent origination and, okay, emptiness means dependent origination, number one. Dependent origination means the middle way, two. Therefore, emptiness means the middle way. So first we have to know how emptiness means dependent origination. This is what we have to settle. Okay, anybody? How do you explain emptiness to mean dependent origination? Anybody? Yes, Shweta?
Emptiness is the short form of emptiness of independent existence. It means
Okay, let's all listen to what Shweta is saying.
Okay,
First one is emptiness.
Yes, second, it means emptiness of independent existence.
Emptiness simply is a short form of emptiness of independent existence. Number two.
Yes. It means that nothing exists independently.
Number three, when you say emptiness of independent existence, it means nothing exists independently. Number three.
Yes, and this leads us to the thought that everything exists dependently.
If nothing exists independently, number four, everything exists by dependence.
Yes.
Number four.
And
Therefore,
everything exists by dependent origination.
Therefore, everything is dependent originated. Very good. 5 points. How emptiness is seen to be dependent origination. For that, we have to know 5 points. Number one, emptiness. Then number two, then emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. It is a short form of emptiness of independent existence. Number two. Number two is emptiness, the short form of emptiness of independent existence. Number two. Number three. Emptiness of independent existence means, number three, nothing exists independently. Number three. Number four, nothing exists independent means everything exists by dependence. Number four. Number five, therefore everything is dependently originated. From these 5 points, we come to deduce that emptiness is the meaning of dependent origination. Okay, this is one part. Number two, dependent origination means the middle way. How dependent origination is middle way? Anybody? Okay, Ravi, you want to say?
Dependence, the opposite of dependence is independence.
Okay, dependent origination has two sides. First, dependence. Dependence, opposite of dependence is independence. So when you say dependence, it rejects extreme of independence or extreme of absolutism. One, very good. Next.
And the opposite of origination is...
Other side is origination. With the dependence, it rejects extreme of independence, extreme of absolutism. And the other side, the other part is origination, dependent origination. Origination, opposite of origination is? Origination means something comes into existence. Something comes to origination. Something comes to existence. What's the opposite of existence? Non-existence. So when it's origination, it rejects non-existence. Non-existence and nihilism mean the same. So origination rejects the nihilism. Dependence rejects the absolutism. So bringing them together, the two extremes are rejected. Rejecting two extremes is following the middle way. So therefore, dependent origination means the middle way. So from this, what we deduce is that emptiness means dependent origination, and dependent origination means the middle way. Therefore, emptiness is the middle way. Emptiness is not nihilism. Ravish, you have a question? Okay, good. Yes, Jack?
Isn't emptiness a negative and dependent origination a positive?
Very good, okay. So this is what we'll learn in a while, maybe this afternoon or tomorrow. Negative, positive, it doesn't matter. Negative, positive doesn't mean, I'll say something wholesome, unwholesome. If it's wholesome, unwholesome, then this is very contradictory. But this is a very good question. Very good. Okay, this we'll discuss in a while, right? But just remind me, either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. Okay, so with this what we're learning here is emptiness means the middle way. So dependent origination and emptiness, these two are the two sides of the same coin. One side dependent origination, other side is emptiness. Other side emptiness. So with emptiness, okay, I don't know whether this is the right time. Okay, let's say. Anyway, there are many who already studied this for long. So for them it's perfectly alright. But there are some who are, okay, it doesn't matter, mixture is also good. With the group discussion, then particularly those people who are new to this concept, you can ask these questions to the others, they'll give you the answers. So we learn a lot during the group discussions as well. Very good. Let's say, group A and group B. Group A you look at through naked eyes, group B you look at through electron microscope. Okay, group A, what do you see? Flower. Group B, what do you see? Particles. Electrons, protons, neutrons. Do you see flower? You don't see flower. Okay, you just see particles. Just a pool of atoms. Okay, now give me the answer according to, with respect to the flower. If you are seeing flower or you are not seeing flower, this is my question. It could be, what are you seeing? Could be, what are you seeing? I asked with respect to the flower. No flower. Very good. No flower. No and empty is the same. Emptiness of flower. Could be, what are you seeing? Flower. Could be, what are you seeing? Emptiness of flower. Which means there is no flower. Just a bunch of atoms there. None of the atoms are flower. Remove the atoms, there is no flower. Flowers are, the atoms are not a flower. Remove the atoms different from the atoms, there is no flower. There is no flower there. What are they saying? What are they talking? There is no flower. Right? This could be the attitude. Group A, what are they talking? There is no flower there. Okay. Now, who's correct? Huh? How can both be correct? One says that this is pink flower, other says this is yellow flower. How can both be correct? One says there's no flower, one says there's no flower. How can both be correct? It's the same object, right? If you're talking about two different objects, okay, group A, what is this? Flower. Group B, what is this? No flower. Right? Both are correct. Because it's not, is it both correct or not? Group A, what is in my right hand? Group B, what is in my left hand? No flower. Right? Who's correct? Huh? Both are correct. Huh? So now how both are correct?
The views are different.
Huh?
But the views are different.
Not only the views, even the objects are different. One is right hand, there's a flower, left hand, there's no flower. Both are correct. Right? Objects are different.
They're not contradictory, so it's
No, the two objects are different. You're getting it? The two objects are different. Now here, the objects are not different. It's the same flower, it's the same object. Here, group A, what is this? Flower. Group B, what is this? No flower, emptiness of flower. You're getting it? So here, it's not the different object, it's the same object. I point to the same object. What is this? Group A says flower. Group B says no flower, empty of flower. Whereas right hand, left hand. Right hand, the flower, left hand, no flower. Who's correct? Both are correct. Because the objects are different. Two objects are different. Whereas with this, we are pointing to the same object and two different answers are coming. Who's correct? How can, if I say that, okay, what is this? Group A. Group A is a book. Group B, what is this? Chocolate. Who's correct? Group A is correct. Right? Why? Because this is a book. This is not a chocolate. You cannot eat this. You're getting it? Okay. Group A, what is this? Book. Group B, what is this? This is not book. This is chocolate. This is non-book. Book, non-book. Who's correct? Group A is correct. Group B is not correct. Because this is a book. It's not a non-book. You're getting it? Likewise. Group A says this is a flower, Group B says this is non-flower. Who's correct? Huh?
The question I have, they're both correct.
Yes, check.
They're both correct.
Yes.
But the view that they're looking through is different.
Okay. So, first we have to understand, separate these two things. Right hand flower and left hand no flower. Okay, group A, what is in my right hand? Flower. Group B, what is in my left hand? No flower. Who's correct? Both are correct. This, if you say group A is correct, group B is wrong, which means that far away from emptiness. Right? Even the people from the street, even the 5-year-old child will also give the answer. Right? Both are correct. Because you are talking about two different objects. You getting it? Now the complication arises when I pick up only one object, and I see group A you look at with the naked eyes, group B you look at through electron microscope. Then I say group A, what is this? Flower. Group B, what is this? Emptiness of the flower. You getting it? Now two answers, opposite answers come. One says flower, one says non-flower. Who's correct? Yes. How can both be correct? Because it's the same object. With the same object, when you say that this is book and this is chocolate, both cannot be correct. One says book, one says non-book. It cannot be correct. But with this, you said that both are correct. How can both be correct?
They're seeing the culmination truth of the flower, and we are seeing the ultimate truth of the flower.
Okay. So what Jack says is that the views are different. There are two different views. You're getting it? Hey, Group A, what is seeing? Book. Group B, what is seeing? Chocolate. There are two different views, right? No, two different views. Yes, two different views. One is the view of the book, other is the view of the chocolate.
They are not valid.
Views of how? What do you mean by view?
What is coming from my light source is the same as what's coming from theirs. What is a correct view and what is a misinterpretation?
So with this also, with the flower also, the light source is the same, right? For you and for you.
Yes.
So therefore, it's the same view. Yes, Alhamdulillah.
With respect to the book, they are not seeing it through electron microscope.
Okay, now can you articulate it? Okay, Alhamdulillah is saying something, right? So Alhamdulillah is saying that these two are different views. For the book and the chocolate, the view is same. For the flower, for the object, for this object, seeing as a flower and non-flower, the view is different.
What is a mistaken view?
Which one?
The lens is different.
Chocolate is a mistaken perception.
This I agree. Now what I'm saying is that chocolate is mistaken perception.
Yes.
Non-book is a mistaken perception.
No. Not with electron microscope.
No, what I'm saying is that they, with the naked eyes,
They said non-book would also be a mistake.
mistaken, right? So non-flower is also mistaken.
You put a stipulation that said
That it looks through electron microscope.
So therefore it's not a mistaken perception.
Why it is not?
Because they are looking through the microscope and that's what they're seeing.
They are looking through the electron microscope, so this is non-flower is what they are seeing,
Yes.
right? So how come that the two perceptions are both correct while the description is just opposite?
So we're not using that lens.
Huh?
We're not using the same lens.
Okay. So in other words, the frame of reference is very different. One is a very gross frame of reference and the other one is a very defined frame of reference. Frame of reference is different, so therefore you're bound to see two different objects with two different perceptions. You're bound to have two different perceptions. Frame of reference is different. The mind which analyzes, these two are very different. One is very gross and the other one is subtle. The gross one which analyzes, which investigates the object is known as conventional analysis. The mind which is subtler, in analyzing the same object is known as ultimate analysis. So in other words, we are using two different analyses. Whereas for the book and the chocolate, where you see the same analysis, same gross analysis, with the same gross analysis, if you see two different objects, two opposite objects, which means that these two are, the one is wrong. Whereas we are using, for this flower, we are using two different analysis. One is known as conventional analysis, and the other one is ultimate analysis. Okay, now my question to you. So, the fact that what group A sees this as a flower, is because of your perception, right? Group B, what you see is emptiness is your perception. Your perception, but look at this object now. Look at the object now. Say both. Group A and B both with naked eyes. Look at this object now. How do you see this object? From the object or from the subject? How does this appear to your mind? Huh?
It appears to be objective.
It appears from the object. It appears as object real. Okay. If it does exist from the object, the way it appears, if it does exist from the object, then your mind should have no role to play. If your mind has no role to play, group A, you see as a flower, what we call as the conventional analysis. Group B, you see as the emptiness of the flower, we call it as ultimate analysis. The two analyses, they are the subjects. And the flower was seen as from the object, not from the subject. Then the subject has no role. If the subject has no role, remove the two subjects. Remove the conventional analysis, remove the ultimate analysis. Tell me, what is this?
There's a flower there in your hand.
My question is, this object, what you see as a flower is because of your perception. Conventional analysis. Remove the conventional analysis, the subject. Remove the ultimate analysis. What is this object?
Still a flower. No, it's an object.
So this you see is a flower because of the conventional analysis.
Just an object. It's an
Huh?
object. Just an object.
Okay, you see this object because of the conventional analysis.
It's just petals
If you subject this to conventional ultimate analysis, again the object will disappear. Just a flower disappears, the object also disappear. So what is this? Shweta?
Can we say that there is some substance that can be interpreted in many different ways?
Okay, look. Some substance. Okay. The Shweta substance in the flower and the Jack substance in the water. Right? There's some substance there. You drink it, you take it, and some there, and you see it in different ways. Okay, there's substance. Even this substance you call it substance. So this substance you see through ultimate conventional analysis, you see the substance. You see through the ultimate analysis, you see there's no substance. Again, this substance also disappears. What's there then?
Is there not?
If the two subjects are removed, conventional analysis, ultimate analysis, what is there?
Nothing.
Huh? Okay, flowers there,
No, it's an unidentified object.
unidentified object is there. Unidentified object,
Still an object.
unidentified object that is seen by conventional analysis or ultimate analysis. Huh?
You said we couldn't see it conventionally, they couldn't see it ultimately, but you are holding an object.
Yes, okay,
We
okay.
don't know what that object is.
But there is unidentified object there. This is what you're saying.
Pardon me?
There's unidentified object there.
Yes.
Okay, this is what you see.
I'm not saying.
This is what you know. You don't know that.
I don't know that.
How can you say there is the unidentified object then?
Because before I had.
Because you're saying that what's here. So obviously there's something here.
Conventionally.
No,
I saw it.
why should you trust me?
Conventionally, I saw it.
No, I did not ask that. I didn't say that something is there. I didn't say this.
You did. You said,
No.
so what is this now?
I said, what is this? I did not say something is here.
This means what?
This is nothing, you can say. Yeah, what Smita said. This is nothing.
It is something. It is something.
No, this is what you think.
Alright, supposing you tell us that, you don't look at it conventionally and you tell them don't look at it ultimately, and somebody comes in from the kitchen
Yeah.
and you say, what's this? You say it's a flower.
Which means he borrowed this conversion analysis from you.
No, we haven't spoken to him.
No, not necessarily spoken. He has already brought it from his past life. Conversion analysis.
This is very complex and very...
Of course it's very complex.
This was the discussion we had earlier.
No, the point is, no, this is not easy. This is not easy, therefore I'm taking the responsibility if you fall into nihilism.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to remain confused.
No, being confused is also very good. Okay, the point is, this is not easy. You're getting it? We have to reflect on it. First study this. Study this. Okay, I'm seeing this a flower. For them, this is emptiness of flower. Okay, say, I'm seeing the flower and I have a very strong belief that the solidification is there. And this solidification, seeing the flower so objectively there, although I say, it's my perception, but deep inside the solidification there. Right? Okay. So like, listen. So for this, we have to give all the examples. All examples for the emptiness, all examples. For example, you remember this example that I give you? The yellow tube light. Yellow color. Yellow color, you said, yes, this is yellow, 100% yellow. I said, no, it's not yellow, it's white. Then you will ask everybody else, this yellow right? Everybody says, yes, it's yellow. If something's wrong with you, you will tell me. Right? Okay, then later on when your eyes are fixed, you said, okay, I was mistaken. Not only me, all the people who agreed with me, they are all mistaken. You're getting it? We see they're so objectively real.
That's not the same example, Geshe.
Sorry?
It's not the same example.
No, what you see as a yellow, you are seeing as a pink.
No, I'm not talking about the color, I'm talking about
No. The pink,
there is a flower.
is there a pink here or not?
Yeah, there is a pink
Is there a shape here or not?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Is there a shape?
Yes.
Without absence of the shape of the pink, there's no flower. The flower is just composed of the shape, and the shape is given by the electrons, the atoms put together. You getting it? Okay. So what you see is a flower. Do you agree with me? Okay. One thing. The one thing is, for example, okay, let's see. Anitaji, what is your daughter's name? Rika. What is your mother's name? Vatsala. Okay, let's say Vatsala looks at daughter Anitaji. Oh, my daughter. Rika looks at, oh, my mother. Right? Daughter Anitaji, when the mother looks at her, Vatsala looks at her, she will never think that my mother. Right? Objectively, my daughter. Objectively, my daughter.
That's relationship.
Very good. Everything's relationship. We say so objectified. Relationship meaning things exist only in relative terms. You're getting it? This is good. I understand what I'm saying. So, what I'm saying is that this is to be done with like a peeling of the onion. It's not something that overnight we'll get it. You have to do like this. Finally, what is emptiness? Not at all difficult topic. It's not at all difficult. Listen. It's not at all difficult. Why it becomes difficult is because of the chronic self-grasping ignorance. This self-grasping ignorance is not ready to accept. So that ignorance has to be peeled off gradually. It has to be scratched like this. Scratched like this. Self-grasping. How do we scratch like this? Keep studying. Keep studying. Keep reflecting. Keep studying. Keep reflecting. And the scratch is happening. And then over time you realize emptiness. Oh, this is so easy. Right? You realize it's so easy. It's not at all difficult. I'm saying this again. We see it's difficult because our self-grasping ignorance does not accept that. Because you cannot say somebody who has a very clear understanding of emptiness, put you some questions, you will come to a point where you cannot give answers. And you cannot defend yourself also. Yet your mind will never accept it. It's because the solidification, objectification is so strong in the mind that it is not ready to let go of this solidification. How to let go of this solidification? The only thing is keep studying, keep reflecting, keep studying, particularly very standard books like Acharya Shantideva text, Mulamadyamikakarika. You have to study these texts very systematically. So what we are studying here, this is like the trailers, movie trailers. But this, okay, this is interesting. Now how to really get it there? For this you have to then go into the real systematic studies. And there are, sometimes this is the problem. When we go through the such retreats, people are so excited, amazing, how to follow this up, right? People come in. And then later on, we give the suggestion how to follow this up. They follow all this knowledge, all happening. This is the problem. So if you are really interested, in this, you must go through systematic studies. Nowadays, the digital age, the online programs are all there. Choose a good online programs. Good one, right? Okay, this is what, and then we also need a little bit of, say, the consistency. And of course, if you have some of the family problems, illness, and the challenges, okay, this is understandable. You might have to terminate the program for some time. But if not for these reasons, then try to continue, try to sustain these programs. Then you will get somewhere. Yes, Jack.
Would you pick up an object, please? Any object. Now, the ladies in the kitchen.
Huh?
The ladies in the kitchen.
Yes.
And you're here. Is there something, as far as the ladies in the kitchen, is there something, some substance that you're holding?
Of course, flower.
No, they don't know what it is.
They don't know, but I'm holding flower. There is the substance which is a flower.
Ultimate,
They don't know.
conventional, but are you holding a substance?
With some criteria or without criteria, you're asking me. Without criteria, if you ask me, yes, I'm holding flower. If you say that get rid of the ultimate analysis, get rid of conventional analysis, if this is the condition you lay on me, I'll say that I'm holding nothing.
So as far as the ladies, if they pick
For
up,
her,
if
for
the
her,
if the lady downstairs called you and said,
call me, I'll bring the conventional analysis. Because I have to pick up the phone. I'll pick up the conventional analysis.
I guess the question that we really asked was, without identifying and getting stuck on the something that you're holding, is there something unidentifiable that's there? And if you say yes, there will be a lot of relief. If you say no, then we'll have some other discussion.
Okay, so the point is that one, where, what Abanti rightly said, that is the relationship, or say the characteristics, no more than relationship, is a characteristic. Okay, substance is there, but the characteristics, whether it is a flower, whatever, that depends on, how someone. This is what the Buddha taught as the second level of emptiness. Emptiness of autonomous substantial reality. Where the Buddha said that self does not exist. Self does not exist, but the karmas and the consciousness exist. What identifies I? Where is this I? Just the body. The karmic effects. Karmic effects, my body and my mind exist. And that's it. Where's the self? You get it? This is what the Buddha said as self does not exist, but the karmas, the ripening effects of the karmas, and the consciousness exists. This is understanding, where still we hold on to deconstruction happens. Dissolidification happens with the self, but still there's something solidified there as the body and a mind to hold on to. This is one level. This is so precious, one level. Even this has to be dissolidified. Then we go to the next level, which is the emptiness of external reality. Which means that what we all see, this all are purely like a dream, right? Purely like a dream. In the dream, you say it's external, internal. In actuality, there's no external, internal. This is all purely your mind playing. Everything's internal. This is number 2. But the mind exists. But the mind exists. Number 2. Mind exists as truly. Then the next one. Okay, then finally, then even this mind also does not exist truly. Even this also like a dream. This is the final level. So this is how we have to go peeling off the onions. Right? Okay. Then the interesting, the middle one, number 4. Number 4 is very interesting. Number 4 says that, okay, it's not purely from the subjective, not purely from the object, it's half-half. Half object, half subject. This is again another version. So total there are 5. 5 in order to dissolidify the object. Dissolidify the object within the mind. Within the mind, it's not easy. Our chronic, illness of the grasping into existence, that is so strong, it's not ready to accept anything. Okay, so what we do is, let's study this, and then if you are really interested in this, you have to study systematically. And this will help you, and it will take you minimum 2, 3, 4, 5 years to study well. After proper studies, then you go into reflection. Go to reflection. With the reflection, then you will see that unfolding happens. One by one unfolding happens. It will not happen suddenly. Unfolding happens gradually. And then we never know. With the many other factors intact, then you realize emptiness, that everything is just purely coming from the mind, nothing really from the object. Will come to us. Okay, so this is anyway, these questions are very important. Meanwhile, keep in mind that the grasping at the true existence, this is inside me. I have to, deconstruct this grasping to existence. This must be within us. With this mind, we study more and systematically. This helps us. 12:30 or 12:30?
12:30.
Okay. We'll stop here.
Geshe, will you give us some of these online
It is already there.
in your website?
Or not only on the website, courses are there.
Can you give us some sites?
Yes, courses are there. In fact, the Shantideva is doing the course, and then the Venerable is doing the course, then the Dr. Anita is doing the course.
Master course.
Master course is there. Then the diploma course is there. Diploma course for 1 year is there. So with these courses there, you must take the advantage of these. Otherwise, there's and then Shweta, yes. Yeah, Shweta is also doing that. Okay.
Archana is doing.
Sorry? Archana is doing that. Right. Okay. So the point is, what I'm saying is that we must look for some systematic studies. 1 year diploma course is there. A master's course happens only once in 4 years or 5 years. Diploma course happens every year. Yeah. Okay. We'll stop here.